I don't know. Are we?
Hi, everyone out there. Can I get a 5x5 if you can see and hear me? Yeah, now it seems fine. So I think you're all right.
Okay, good. I'm glad because I didn't feel like changing it again.
Yeah, that's all
I'm
right.
gonna,
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna try.
Morning Flower. Hi, Olivia. 5x5. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're at least working on D Live because I see some people from there.
It's
Bama
not,
Dad 42. Huh? Can you see the chat, Tyler?
yeah, I could see it, and you're good on YouTube also.
Oh, cool. Oh, Anita, hi. Celestial AG. Laura, Dennis. Hi, guys. Awesome. So welcome. Oh, Tyler, can you say something? And can I get a 5x5 if you can see and hear Tyler? Oh,
Something. Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you see me? I'm pretty sure they can see me because I can see me.
yeah. Okay, good. Oh, well, then if you're looking, then yeah. So Tyler's helping me out tonight because just once again, I am testing, stuff, but also I like to have Tyler with me to just kind of hang out. It's kind of cool because now that I'm getting into doing the media with IET, we can kind of go into all of the happenings and all of that just because I like to do that with him because he's brilliant and he's always on top of whatever is going on. And that frees me up for my show, The Kate Awakening, to kind of do what I've always wanted to do with it anyway, which is really just to make it a hangout. And yeah, just to hang out. This is like, I kept putting so much pressure on myself every week to get all the happenings together and give you guys some kind of commentary about what is going on. And I'm still planning on doing that, but that's going to be over on the We the Media. If you guys don't have the links to that yet, I'll get them to you somehow. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I've kind of liked the past few weeks of just kind of hanging out with you guys and chatting. And I've had a few messages from people saying that they like it too. So let me know in the chat if you guys are feeling this kind of format for at least the Kate Awakening portion of what I do. We could always go back to the other stuff too. We could always keep it mixed up. But Tyler's helping me test this tonight so that I can see how this software kind of works as far as being able to have multiple people. And I think I can have up to 6 people on this, which is awesome. And plus I always just like hanging out with Tyler because he's my buddy and we are into all the same things. So
Yeah, she uses IET for all the good news and happenings, and then she just uses me as the guinea pig for all the tech issues.
That is what we call friendship now. So
exactly.
No, but I love Tyler because he'll get into the woo-woo stuff with me. And, he will get into the 17 stuff with me. He follows the news stuff. And so is he drinking a 40? I doubt he's drinking a 40.
No, it's just champagne, actually.
Oh. Listen to Journey's Ivan Teller episode last night. Fun interview, No Lava said.
Yeah, that was the channeler. That was incredible, right?
That was so cool.
It's interesting watching him shift and just become a different person. I don't know how all that works, but it's awesome.
Yeah, actually, when I was in hypnotherapy school, they had a girl come in who channeled. Oh shoot, I wish I could think of the name. Actually, several people channel this person. Dr. something. I believe he died in like the 60s or something. I could be totally off on that. But they had her come in and kind of demonstrate for us. She was doing it through hypnosis was how she was getting the channel. And everything about her mannerisms changed. Actually, I went to a psychic one time. There is a town in upstate New York called Lilydale. And it's this little gated community of all these Victorian homes. And you literally have to be psychic in order to live there. It's kind of creepy, but it's kind of cool too. It's all, there's a lake there. And then there's like a big hotel and museum. And then just all these beautiful Victorian homes, and you can literally just walk up and down the street and go knock on a door and make an appointment with a psychic, because everybody that lives there is like some kind of medium or whatever. So there, I used to go there once a year, and because I have family in upstate New York. And I went to this one woman who was, I ended up going to her like the next 2 years because she was so incredible. But the way she operates is she channels your deceased relatives. And she didn't even have to tell me who was coming through. I could just tell by her mannerisms who she was. Like, she literally turned into my grandmother. My grandmother had this best friend named Ruth, who I always thought of as like a second grandmother. And it was really weird because I remember Ruth was kind of like a Spitfire woman, and I remember being little and just watched, she always had earrings on, and her earrings would always just be bobbling back and forth because she was just like always talking with her head like this. And I just remember, like, as soon as she started talking to me as Ruth, just the earrings starting to go on this woman, like the exact same way. It was really cool.
That is interesting. I don't know if I've encountered that. I've had a medium channel my mother before, but I didn't notice any mannerisms like that. But everybody's different, obviously.
I think it might have something to do with, whether they're getting more of a physical connection. So like if the channeler is, in my experience with hypnotizing people, so I used to hypnotize a couple of professional athletes. Those guys had a very strong mind-body connection, as you would expect. They're very in tune with their body. You give those guys suggestions about their arms going up, and man, their arms fly up. Some people don't have a very strong connection with their, like between their brain and their body, so they don't get those sensations as strongly. So I wonder if it just has to do with the channeler, not like the physical stuff isn't coming through as much, but the mental stuff is.
Yeah, that's interesting too. As far as, so whenever you're hypnotizing somebody what do you tell them to make their arm move? Like, how does that work? Because I've been regressed, but I don't recall anything like that happening to me.
So that is actually one of the introductions that I was taught in hypnotherapy. So what's interesting is that, how like a lot of people be like, I can't be hypnotized. People have tried, I can't be hypnotized. I feel like a lot of people wear that almost like a badge of honor, like as if they're too smart for it or something.
Or they're unbreakable or something.
Yeah, exactly. So really, one, everybody can be hypnotized, and because it's just a natural function of our brains. But two, for a long time, people thought that because there was really just one way to hypnotize somebody. So around the 70s, they learned that people process information differently. Some people are very literal, and some people take inferences. So people that are very physical tend to be those more literal people. And that's why you test people when somebody came into my office. The first thing I did was I was already gauging their mannerisms. Then I would test them on certain things. I would ask them questions. And I'm starting to get a feel for how they process information. Because if you tell a super literal person that their hand has now become a lead pipe and is really heavy, or it's going to fly up off the table and is now filled with helium, a literal person is going to be like, no, it's not. Their conscious and subconscious minds are going to fight that. Whereas if you give somebody that takes inferences, those kinds of suggestions, it might work better for them. So I guess that's just a really long way of saying that you have to know how somebody processes information, and if they are whatever. It's called an arm raising, and it's something that some hypnotherapists use to get people into the state of hypnosis.
That was a really long way of explaining that. You're right.
Sometimes I lose myself. Sometimes I just get caught in the moment. Francis says, so will Trump be inaugurated? I believe so, 100%. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, it's already done. I saw a newspaper today, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I sent you a picture of it. Do you remember exactly what it said? Biden secures presidency or something crazy.
Yeah.
What did it say?
The world is ending.
Biden secures victory. And then U.S. virus death toll crosses 300,000 as vaccinations begin. Like the entire front cover is a fabrication. Nothing
Right.
about that front cover is reality. That's, yes, a very good way of screen sharing.
We're very high tech here on my show.
But I was just like, this is insane because I purposely stay away from all the mainstream and all that stuff. But when I happen to catch a glimpse of it, it hits me on like how this narrative is actually being pushed and what people are seeing, because we see a different thing. We're in a different world on Twitter and social media, Parler, all that stuff. We see a different narrative. We see the truth. We see it all being played out as it is. And then you go and see this, and people read that and they think Biden's president. They think the coronavirus is still like on the uproar, just taking people down left and right, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case at all.
Right.
And I don't even know where I was going with that, but it just, as far as you were asking if you think Trump is going to win, I just think it's what happened today with Dominion. The guy sat there and lied through his teeth under oath, basically. There, you have to imagine that he has somebody in his ear saying, I don't care what they ask you. This is the narrative we're going with. You do not stray off of this. I'm sure they have something. I'm sure he's blackmailed. I'm sure everybody is. They're forced to say that because there's no way you can sit there and say there's absolutely no way possible that my voting machine could be fraudulent.
Right. The guy was lying through his teeth. It was nuts. Zombies Are Next wants to know, did you ever go look at the tunnels?
Did I go look at the tunnels?
Yeah.
Which tunnels?
I don't know. They said, did you ever go look at the tunnels, Tyler?
They might be talking about the tunnels that I spoke about in the City Museum video I did. I don't know. Because St. Louis is like it's a known underground tunnel system connected to a natural cave system, the Cherokee Cave, where the Native Americans roamed. The tunnels, I mean, they're actually mapped out. They're everywhere. They were used by the mafia and stuff in the 1800s. And when I was in commercial construction for 15 years, and we worked downtown a lot, and in the basement of a lot of these buildings led to this tunnel system. And sometimes you could actually walk through these tunnels, and it is freaking eerie. And who knows what they were used for and what they're still being used for, because I know they are. One time we thought we found a dead body, and we called the fire department. This guy wasn't moving. We thought he was dead. We called the fire department. They came down. They were all standing around. The firefighter comes up and kicks the guy, and the guy jumps up and scares the shit out of everybody. He was just drunk, passed out. Oh gosh. But dude, it was like a scene from a movie, like because we were just certain he was gone, and then he just popped up and scared the shit out of everybody.
I wonder, is that protocol? Just kicking him?
Yeah, he just walked up like to just check his pulse or something. He just kind of nudged him with his foot.
By the way, what tunnels aren't eerie?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't really think of any cheerful tunnels. Tunnels are just weird as it is. This is Tyler Kiwala from Journey to Truth. Brittany wants to know. She's from St. Louis too.
Oh, we're at in St. Louis. Brittany Weidman.
Yeah.
I want to go look at someone's video from St. Louis too. Yeah, Brittany, check out my video on the St. Louis Museum, City Museum. I don't know what your belief is on what's happening in the world today, but there's a lot of connections with Illuminati and satanic cult symbolism, reptilians, the entire. So, Kate, I don't even know if I've told you about this. Do you mind if I go into this?
I'm picking up my drink because I know this is going to be a while.
The good idea.
Yeah, grab your 40.
So there's a City Museum in St. Louis it's made for kids. It's 11 stories. It's a family-oriented place, but it's geared towards kids. It's 11 stories tall. It's a giant playground. And I've gone there 1,000 times growing up. Not until I was working at a hotel. We were building a hotel across the street that was actually connected to it. After my awakening, I started noticing things. The entire building is surrounded by serpent beings and reptilians statues. And on the very top of the building, there's a big giant praying mantis, like a mantid being guarding the thing. I'm like, that's really weird. And then there's all this Egyptian statues and naked women. And it's just really, really not a children's thing.
Right.
So then I noticed there's a pizza place across the street, across from the Children's Museum, called the Sliced Pint. Now it's a beer and pizza place, but what is a pint? A pint size, child. And it's called the Sliced Pint. And the sign on the pizza place has people eating pizza with a reptilian, an actual lizard man, like eating pizza, all laughing. You go inside this place and it's entirely satanic. I mean, evil. Like you start looking around, the symbolism in there is disgusting. The drinking fountain is like the mouth of a demon, and it says "Come be refreshed." And like there's like a portal on the floor that looks like it goes straight to hell. And it's all this. It's this kids museum though. And I started looking into the biography of this guy, the guy who owned the place, and apparently he had like some type of entity working through him that he admitted was like fueling him and giving him all the motivation to make this museum. It was like he was allowing something to work through him to make this museum. He ended up being murdered. Nobody knows who did it. There was like, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole crazy story there. But this museum, children have gone missing there, and it leads directly to this underground tunnel system.
Oh my gosh.
And you go inside, there's like the all-seeing eye, all the Freemason symbols, the entire place is just like, oh my God, in your face child trafficking center. And I did a video on this. And people just go in and out, thousands of people every day, and never question it,
That's so scary. And it is so blatant in your face. And all of the, you hear like Disneyland, all of the employees from Disneyland talking about the underground tunnel systems and how you could kind of like go in and out. And, their excuse is that obviously like you'll never see a guy at Disneyland pushing a garbage, thing around. You'll never see whatever. But obviously these tunnel systems like could be used for bad things as well. And your guard is totally down when you're at a place like that. I remember, just like people letting their kids running around, you feel like you're safe when you're in a place like that. Well, not my parents. My parents were really strict. I was like 14 and still not allowed to cross the street. So
yeah, there's even a cave system inside this place where the kids can go, and they're like, as soon as they go in that cave, they're lost from their parents. It's scary. Like they can come out somewhere else. I've watched parents panic in there, running around looking for their kids. You used to have to sign a waiver to even get into the place. But anyway, next topic.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Somebody was asking about Mitch McConnell today. Actually, Danielle Maga, let me see what her Twitter is. She did a thread today on Mitch McConnell's wife, because was it Lynn Woods or Lynn Wood, or was it, I think it was Lynn Wood brought up something about like watch the wives, he didn't word it like that because obviously, we know what that comes from, but it was like, keep an eye on the wives or whatever. And so Danielle did a big dig on his wife, and his wife's, father had connections to the CCP and things like that. So who knows why any of these people are doing what they're doing. It could just be that they have, I don't know. I have trouble even speculating at this point what some of these like people are up to, because on one hand, you're like, they'll say things that you're agreeing with. And then on the other hand, they just absolutely are lunatics.
Yeah. It's confusing. We never know like what's going on with Barr right now. Like was he arrested? Did he step down?
I don't think he was. I saw that picture. Actually, Tria just brought that up today too. The picture floating around where it looks like his hands are behind his back. To me, first of all, I've seen that picture before. Second of all, it looks to me like he's adjusting his shirt in the back. But I mean, I don't know. I can't say for certain what I even really think about that. That's very confusing. And I think the point is that I don't have any idea. You don't have any idea. Nobody has any idea. But guess who else doesn't have any idea?
The enemy.
Exactly, the enemy. And so that is the entire point. And I heard a really great football analogy today, which obviously went right over my head because I don't watch baseball, but
Football or baseball?
but it was like, something about, it's not always the quarterback that scores the touchdown. At least I know that much. And sometimes you've got like diversion plays going on over here and you pass the ball to somebody else to run it in, right? Because you know that everybody's going to be focused on this one guy.
Yep.
Picking up what I'm putting down. So
I think you should stick with adult reading Rainbow.
Well, probably. But that makes total sense to me that, he could kind of pass the baton, pull the dealie out of the grenade, hand it to the next guy and have him pin. Thank you. But I think ultimately my belief, what I feel is that in the end, we're going to find out that he served an important purpose. I don't think that Barr is deep state. I know people get frustrated with him the same way they got frustrated with Sessions. I think when we find out what has been going on behind the scenes and have some kind of an understanding, the point is that we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So we can't determine from what we're seeing on the surface what is actually happening and really who's good or who's bad. There are two people that I know that I trust. Even though 17 says trust Sessions, trust Ray, trust Huber and Horowitz. I don't believe they've ever said trust Barr, but I could be wrong. Although I've loved Barr, but I trust Trump and I trust General Flynn. That's about all I'll bet my money on.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. But we've all been frustrated with Trump many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it goes with everybody right now. Nobody's perfect. This is war. Things change in the fog of war. Decisions are made on the fly. Sometimes they don't even know what's going on. When you hear something come out of their mouth, it might just be complete optics. You don't know like what's going on with this vaccine and why Trump is pushing this. That to me is what's confusing. Like what is actually going on there? There's definitely comms going on. They're speaking in code. Does a vaccine actually mean a vaccine? Are there two different vaccines? What's going on with it?
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to say that word on this channel? I don't even know.
Yes. I think that, like with the virus in general, there's just nothing makes sense. Nothing is adding up. And so it's all kinds of confusing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. But I also know that number one, Trump isn't just the president of the awake people. Trump is the president of the whole country. And it's better for him to, like I've said this a million times before. I'm sure people get sick of hearing me say it, but he is a businessman. He knows business. Not only does he understand business, but he understands the art of war. You come to the table at least appearing like you're willing to negotiate, at least appearing like you're on their side. And then, because as soon as he says something that's anti anything, we know what happens. So there are lots of reasons why he will say certain things and then not do them. So I'm waiting for what actually happens, not what he's saying or what he's portraying when he talks to the media.
And you made a good point. You said he's the president of our country, right? Well, I think it's more than that. So many people around the world are looking up to him and what he's doing and what the Trump administration is doing because they know what it means for them. Because of the corruption isn't in the United States. It's outside, infiltrating the United States. So whatever happens here affects the rest of the world. That's why there's so many Anons. By the way, that's Anon or Anon. If anybody wants to know, to me, it's how do you say anonymous?
Exactly.
You don't say anonymous.
Right.
So
that's what I say.
So many people say anons. I'm like, no, it's anonymous, not anonymous. Anyway. That's why there's so many Anons all over the world,
right?
Because they understand this is worldwide. If there was nothing to it, other countries wouldn't even know about it. They wouldn't be involved.
True, that's so true. Fearless brought up something that I wanted to talk about, or at least mention, because did you see General Flynn snub Alex Jones? It was at the DC rally, I think. Alex Jones went up to him And Flynn's reaction to me was so incredibly telling. He did not, he was like, oh, and Alex Jones was like so disrespectful to him. I hate that dude, seriously.
Well, he said, "Hey, man, we're gonna win," or whatever he said. That's what he said.
Like, are you scared? He's like, "Are you scared?" And Flynn's like, "What?"
And he's like, and then he's like, "Hey, we're gonna win." He's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna win." Is what he told him.
Right.
But what I think about Alex Jones is that at this point, like, okay, Flynn probably knows exactly who he is, or at least who's handling him. But Alex Jones might be under mind control. MK Ultra victim. He's an MK Ultra victim, and he might not even understand that he's being used at this point. Otherwise, right. why would he approach Flynn because he must think he's fighting for the greatest good if he had the balls to go approach Flynn like that?
I don't know. Is it balls? Is it stupidity? Is it narcissism? There are lots of reasons why people, do stupid shit like that. Oops, my thing just jumped. Yeah, I don't know, but I 17 outed at least Jerome Corsai. But I don't remember if Alex was for sure lumped into that, but I don't trust him. Will Trump be the president for 4 more years? Bill asks, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, what was interesting in that channeling the other day, that Ivan Teller that came through, and they said that it's up to Trump. Can he handle it? And they said, obviously, yes, he can. And if he decides he wants to do this, then he is there for 4 more years. But we don't see him giving up. But ultimately, it's on his shoulders. Can he take it? And I think he's proved his backbone. He's proved that he can take it. And I don't see him going anywhere. He's doing this not for the job. He's doing this to end the corruption and save the planet.
Right. Well, ultimately, yeah, isn't that the case that it's all about, we all have free will. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter even what your mission is. And even if you're on your mission and it looks like you're going to complete your mission, you still have the free will to F up. But I don't see Trump doing that. I mean, the way that he's handled everything so far, he seems super comfy. So I'm super comfy. I'm not worried about it. But yeah, I think he's on a mission, and I think that he will succeed.
Yeah, that's just it. If we're sitting here constantly in fear and worry and anxiety, we're not doing anyone good, because our energy is contagious. And when we're existing like that, that's contagious. Other people feel that, and we're not helping the collective raise at all. Mm-hmm. So we all have to be empowered enough. We have to be, like, awareness is self-empowerment, right? Like, just by being aware of what's going on, it gives you that strength. It gives you the ability to navigate and be strong right now when other people can't. But we need to be that way. And it's okay. Like, all this political turmoil and everything that's happening right now, it's like all happening. It's like a massive lesson for our discernment right now. It's testing all of us. We don't know what's going on, but can we tap in and feel what the truth is and what's not? And that's where what they call direct knowing is. Like, you get to a point where you just know, like, okay, this is off, this isn't. And sometimes it does get confusing, but that's when you disconnect. You're like, okay, I'm going to step back and observe this, see how it plays out. There's no reason I need to get involved emotionally, because once we do that, we take our focus off our own path, and then we're not doing anybody any good.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually really this was something I wanted to talk about when I realized I was going to have you on today. Because one of the reasons, first of all, for a long time I was doing this, I didn't really know anybody. I didn't really have anybody to talk to. And so I was just like super focused on everything that was happening day to day. And I at least sensed then that anytime I had big fears, to kind of keep them to myself, because I wasn't helping anybody by like dumping them on Twitter. I was watching other people do that and just be like, giving up. or be like, I can't handle this. I'm going to, and that's different from saying like, hey, I got a lot going on. I'm going to take a break. But people, wavering in their support of Trump or wavering in their support of, the plan or whatever. And it was like, yeah, don't we all kind of feel like that sometimes because it's human, but kind of keep it to yourself. And then once I started having people that I could talk to and I could kind of dump my fears on my friends and then take take their positivity back and do what I can with that. Because don't you think there's something to us manifesting also with whatever it is that we're worried about? When we spread that worry, aren't we kind of putting that in the consciousness as far as like, is that what we're manifesting?
Yeah, absolutely. Like our thoughts create our reality, and what we need to be focused on is maintaining a positive timeline and have faith in a positive outcome, right? And I know that's so hard with what we're going through, but that's where, like, I guess maturity comes in. How mature are you? Just like even spiritual maturity, how far have you come in your journey?
Mm-hmm.
And can you maintain that positive outcome for the planet? Can you see that constantly through all this darkness? And we need to be able to see it all of the time. As soon as we start imagining a world that's going down in flames, we are assisting that timeline. We're creating that reality. Our thoughts are so much more powerful than we can ever imagine. We've never been taught about it for a reason. And just, I mean, I think you know this, Kate, like just even thinking about something, not even saying it out loud, it's still doing something. It's still powerful. It still has an effect. It's kind of scary because, what do we all think that we don't say? But
right. But once you start, it's scary, but it's an incredible power that once you get a hold of, once you realize that that's happening, that your thoughts have power externally or thoughts have power on the world, then you can use that to the benefit of yourself, to your fellow man, to the planet even. One of the books that I was reading recently, whichever one, was talking about like, so if our earth is trying to move into this 4D, vibration, it's actually our human consciousness that's like fighting it. It's like pulling it back. Like it keeps trying to snap it back to this 3D reality where, because people aren't ready and we're so afraid of what's different, that it's actually our consciousness that's like, I believe, how like all the prophecies that had been coming out forever, everything was like around the year 2000 to like 2012 or whatever, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's like we've got this extra time tacked on. And I believe it's because maybe things were supposed to be happening by now, but like our consciousness has been holding it back. What do you think about it?
It's been holding it back because it's been hijacked.
Mm.
I think had there not been all this interference on the planet, we would have had that timeline and that would have happened. But there's a lot of dark forces at play that, I mean, it's a free will planet, so they're allowed to do what they want. And it's up to us whether we consent or not. But hey, they got us, right? We were all programmed. We were all zombies. We all fell for it for the longest time. They got us with 9/11, and now this pandemic is the new 9/11, right? But it didn't work this time because we saw through it immediately. We saw for what I mean, almost before it happened. Like it was the same day, simultaneously, we all called bullshit. Like, all right, no, something's up. That wasn't the collective consciousness back then. So we know we've already come a long way. And every day when something happens, like the whole planet is is blanketed. It's like a fear blanket over the whole planet. And it's up to us like to get to a point to be able to see through that and see things for what they are.
Right. So when we talk about our missions and like what we're here to do, I mean, obviously we all want to be, we're patriots and we want to fight for our country and we want to fight for humanity in total. We don't want to see corruption. We don't want to see people getting taken advantage of. We don't want to see people getting hurt or, et cetera. We have all of these things that we're passionate about. But at the same time, I do believe we're all here on our own personal missions as well. And do you think that like right now, I feel like I'm in the middle of shifting from my external mission of focusing outward to focusing inward on what it is that's like that I'm here for on a personal level. And do you think that one is more important than the other? Do you think that they both need to kind of work in conjunction? What do you think?
Well, I think one can't happen without the other. If we're not doing the inner work, then we're not effective
Mm-hmm.
in the world, in this battle, in this spiritual war. Because I mean, it just keeps going back to like the awareness and knowing that your thoughts create your reality. Uh, I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse, repeating this again. But I don't know. The whole thing is to have a clear intent. Make sure you have a clear intent for what you want in your own personal life. Know
Right.
that you want to manifest whatever it is, and you're fighting for that positive outcome. And just by doing that alone, that's going to affect your outer world. The inner affects the outer,
Mm-hmm.
and the outer affects. If you let all these distractions take over and take you off your path, then that's going to affect your inner journey, because now you're distracted and you're not doing the work anymore.
Right.
It's like it's walking on eggshells all the time, and it's really hard to navigate. But that's where we constantly have to be aware and observe our actions and how we respond to things.
Right. And living in integrity, like we've talked about this before, because there are a lot of things that we all know that we are doing, shouldn't be doing. And, we kind of put the focus outside ourselves because sometimes that's easier to like fight this fight out here, but yet, maybe you're not dealing with some wounds that you still need to heal, or maybe you're still like drinking and like getting drunk to escape, or maybe you're still getting into the same relationship patterns that are, messing up things for yourself and for other people. So I don't remember where I was going.
Well, no, you're right though. You're talking about living in integrity,
Right.
and well, you're talking about drinking and all that stuff, and anything we do that we know isn't good, right? There's a part of us deep down inside that knows when we're doing something, if it's right, if this is serving my higher purpose, or isn't it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But are we drawn towards that stuff, or do we set that reality up to distract us from focusing on ourself? Because we are our own mission. Like the whole mission is self-discovery, and
Mm-hmm.
and tapping into what our true potential is and what we're actually capable of as a human. And what this body is, this body is like the most genius machine that's ever been built. And we have to realize that. And sometimes we set up distractions for ourselves because we're scared to face who we are. Like we have to like take charge. Like it's time to wake up and take charge for take control of your life, basically.
Right.
Because
Right.
we have not had control for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it, because when I bring up, for example, drinking, there's no judgment. I still have friends that like drink, smoke, whatever. There's no judgment. It's just sometimes I think, I know for myself, it became so much easier um, to, I don't know, it was like almost like I was kidding myself, telling myself that I could really be doing the work, but at the same time, still doing things to my body that were basically fighting against everything that I was working towards, trying to feel healthy, trying to be more clear, trying to deal with things rather than escape them. And so that's why for me, that was a personal one. That's why I bring that one up a lot, because that was one of my own personal struggles. So.
Kate, we're about to lose you. You're getting like you're almost gone off the screen right now.
What am I shifting into 5D? What's going on?
That's exactly what it looks like. You're like you've almost lost all signal. Like you're just a big blur.
I see that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh wait, hold on. Let me turn the
Guys,
internet off my phone.
Kate just ascended.
Later, guys.
We just witnessed it. We just witnessed it. Yeah, that's crazy. I've never seen it blur out like that before.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, dude. You're gonna have to take over as one. I don't know.
Host, yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, today's episode of Knowledge is Power. Time to push the boundaries. I don't know where I'm going.
Jason says, I was a bad alcoholic until the day I had my awakening on July 4th, 2018. Haven't had a drink since. Jason, that was almost, did you find that it was actually kind of easier than you thought it would be once you had your awakening experience? Like for me, I had told myself several times throughout my life, I know that drinking is not doing anything for me. I'm just going to stop doing it. And it was hard. But once I had my awakening, it was like I didn't even have to make the determination. I just didn't want to drink anymore. I had so many other things that I wanted more than that.
Well, you realize like drinking is a very selfish act, because as soon as you start drinking, you're not like, what if you start getting drunk and there's a family emergency and you can't drive, you can't be there for the people in your life that need you, whatever. Like you are no longer a service to others when you decide to go out and get drunk and party and do all that stuff. It's a very selfish act. And when you do start having that awakening, you realize like that's not fun to me anymore. Like that was my idea of fun at one point because I didn't know any better. But once you know better, there's no way I can look back at a lifestyle like that and see that as fun. It actually looks horrible. Like there's nothing about that I desire anymore. We lost your audio. Your picture's coming back, but we lost your audio. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I can't hear you at all. Can you guys hear her in the chat? Is it just me? You know what's crazy is my internet connection just went from 10 out of 10 to 0 out of 10. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? They can't hear you, Kate. Can you hear me? The deep state's messing with you according to... Yeah, they can hear me. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we totally lost your audio. Nothing. So, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Carrot Awakening. Actually, how many of you guys like her new format going over these books? Because I think it's amazing. I actually love it, and getting into the same content we're getting into tonight. I actually have been reading. I think last week she did Bringers of the Dawn, and I'm actually in the process of reading the follow-up, Path of Empowerment. It's another Pleiadian channel, and it's the same as Bringers of the Dawn. You'd think it was written last year. I mean, it's almost like they knew exactly what was going to happen to the planet, down to the political issues. And it's really amazing. I mean, if you need help getting any clarity on what you're supposed to be doing, I recommend Bringers of the Dawn and that Path of Empowerment. Kate, are you there? Yeah, we can't hear you. What do we do? Here, do you just want me to just call me on speakerphone and I'll put the phone up to my microphone? I don't know. It's either, I don't know what happened. It's either on my end or your end, the internet connection says 0 out of 10. Like I lost all connection. Or you lost all connection. I don't know. This is why she calls me to be the guinea pig, right? Just make me look stupid up here. Restart the stream, somebody says. Well, does that mean you have to get a new link? Just restart it. Yeah, just restart it.